fairly recent video appeared online featuring the BYD Han doing some driving tests and some maneuvers like the moose test. So I thought we could have a look at that, and I'll take a look over it. I'll give you a brief summary of what happened so you don't have to spend 20 minutes of your life watching another video, which is very, very long and boring, in another language. I've done that for you, so you don't have to do that. One second, I've never shuffled papers like that in a video. I just wanted to do that just the once. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in to my video for today. I'm Ben Alexander. For those of you that are new to the channel, I make videos every day about EV news from around the world. So remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, please remember to let me know what you think of this in the video comments section afterwards. I've been getting a lot of really good comments lately. Thank you very much for all of the positivity. Like I said yesterday, really appreciate all the comments. I like to read them all. It's like a bit of a thing I like to do on a daily basis. The BYD Han basically is a saloon car from BYD, if you didn't know. So it costs about 30 to 40,000 US dollars, roughly. It isn't coming to Australia, but Australia will get the seal, and the seal is due pretty much any day now. And I think, in fairness, the BYD Seal is a better car. It's also a little bit smaller, and the smaller the better for me, if I'm honest. It has a 220 horsepower version, single motor, or a dual motor with just under 500 horsepower. The battery is 77 kilowatt hours up to 82 kilowatt hours, so that gives you an idea of the car's size. It's a reasonably big car, isn't it? Reasonably big battery, big car. Total curb weight is 2,170 kilograms in its heaviest spec. So for contrast, the Honda Jazz in its heaviest spec is 1,050 kilograms. A Tesla Model 3 weighs between 1,760 kilograms and 1,844 kilograms. So the Han is a beastie car, isn't it? I would call it a motorway cruiser. I'm not sure that people talk about that, these sorts of things like that anymore, but you know, back when I was a kid in England, you'd go up and down the motorways. You've got the M1, A1, and you'd often see people driving saloon cars up and down the motorway. You know, my dad had one. Not really a sports car then, is it, I think? However, the Moose test is designed to show us how a car handles in a really tricky maneuver that's kind of provocative to a car and its chassis. So it isn't meant to show off a car's handling prowess, although sometimes it does. Utes are not very good at the Moose test. Some of them really, really bad. Some of them, they get by. They do all right. So Utes are not very good in things like this. So like if you're on a motorway going in a straight line and you have to just swerve to the left, then you try and correct it to the right, you've done a Moose test. Basically, if you do that as hard as you can, that's the Moose test. Some cars, if they're really dangerous, they just roll over, which is not what we want. If you remember the little smart car as well, the little one, the one that's like crushed up like this, that one just understeers on the Moose test like crazy. It's terrible at it. So you can see that the Han is really, really heavy, and you can see that it rolls right into the corners, and as it builds up momentum, you can see the back starts to get very loose, and you can see that the car doesn't load up the rear wheels as much as it should. But you can see it's still fine. And as the guy is driving it, he's driving it very hard. In real world, you'll never drive a BYD Han kind of like that, will you? It is going to come to Europe, but not Australia. I'm not really sure how well it will sell because BYD sales have not been fantastic in Europe so far, even though they are great cars, and especially the Atto 3, which is fantastic, especially in colder climates. I don't know who would want to buy the Han if you have the choice of other vehicles on the market, such as you've got the Tesla Model 3, BYD Seal, BYD Atto 3, Volvo C40, XC40, XC30 soon. So what is the point? I just don't understand the point of it. It is nice, but I would rather just get a Seal. And I think a lot of people will just look at the Seal and go, oh, that's cheaper, almost the same size. Let's just get that. As far as I can see, the Seal is smaller. So it's basically 20 centimeters in length shorter, and all the other metrics are a bit smaller, like 5 centimeters or 10 centimeters. So I think that's where the extra weight is coming from. It's a generally bigger vehicle. If you didn't know, BYD sold over 900,000 vehicles globally last year, and this year they're actually targeting 3 million vehicles, which is astonishing. That's huge. Tesla sold 1.2 million last year, for reference. But most of BYD car sales in China, obviously. So in places like Australia, Norway, England, America, you may not have heard of BYD very long ago. It might have been in the last couple of years. So BYD doing really, really good. And I can vouch absolutely for the quality of their vehicles. I've stared at the nuts and bolts and driven them. And I even know someone who has been driving theirs for a good while now, and they've done 60,000 kilometers with no issues, none at all whatsoever. And I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's what we want to hear, isn't it? Also, as a side note as well, that person charged it by solar, off-grid, every day. That's how they did 60,000 kilometers in their Atto, and it's still going strong. Really, really good. So I wanted to mention tomorrow's video because it's going to be really, really interesting. At least to me, I think this is like super, super interesting. I've been doing some research into just how many oil refineries there have been in Australia in the past and how many there are now. And I found that there are some really interesting things going on that you won't want to miss tomorrow. I promise you that. I wonder why some of this stuff just doesn't get talked about or shown around the media as much as it probably should, because I would say it's blatant dodginess. I keep reading online and receiving comments, and also I think it was the end of last year, a friend of mine said to me about how Australia won't be fine to power all of these, the word these in a derisive tone, electric cars. But again, rather than talking about UK data and showing the document, which is very apt, isn't it, that the British National Grid put out, they created a document and put that document out there on their website saying that it's absolutely fine for us to power our cars with electric. And they put forth 3 hypothetical scenarios. And the worst, which was wholly unrealistic, was what if all the cars tomorrow needed to be charged by electric with no adjustments to the grid? And they said even that was fine. They go on to explain why it's fine, and I thought I would do some more research and make a video on just how easy it would be actually for Australia to turn their vehicles to electric. So did you know, for example, a small oil refinery uses enough power daily to refine around 109,000 barrels of oil to power an entire city that's populated by 400,000 residents? Just one oil refinery. So tomorrow's video, it's going to be fascinating. You're going to enjoy it. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button so that YouTube know that people are enjoying it. And also please consider subscribing for more daily videos about electric vehicles.